The summer of 1887 burned harder than any before. In the small forgotten town of Dust Creek, the wells had run dry, and so had hope. Along the road that cut through the empty fields, a girl named Lydia May stood by a cracked well, clutching a tin bucket that had seen more years than her. Her father had died that spring, the fever taking him into nights, and her mother hadn't spoken much since. Lydia had never known luxury, just dust, prayers, and the ache of trying to keep a roof from falling apart. Her dress was worn thin, her hands brown with work, but her eyes, blue like winter water, still held something unbroken. That morning, the sound of hooves echoed through the heat. A rider appeared, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a dark coat though the sun beat heavy. His horse was strong, black as midnight, and his hat cast a long shadow across his face. The townsfolk called him Coal Tanner, a name that carried weight. He was a rich rancher from the north, a man who owned land wider than the horizon. He had no reason to stop, but he did. Maybe it was the way Lydia looked at the road, like she expected something good to finally come from it. "Water's gone?" he asked, his voice low and steady. She nodded. 3 days now. He swung off his horse, untied a canteen, and handed it to her. Lydia hesitated, her lips trembling before she drank. Cole watched her, silent. In her eyes he saw something he hadn't seen in years, quiet strength. That night, as he rode away, Dust Creek stayed in his mind, especially the girl by the empty well. A week later, Lydia woke to the sound of wagons and men shouting. Outside her house, dust swirled as horses dragged barrels and tools. Coal Tanner had returned, and he wasn't alone. He brought workers, wood, and water. He was building a new well for the town. People whispered that the rich cowboy was trying to buy heaven, but Lydia saw the truth. He was a man running from his own ghosts. Day by day, Cole stayed. He talked little, worked hard, and every evening he'd sit by the edge of the dried creek with Lydia. She told him stories about her father, her mother, and the stars that never changed. He told her about the loneliness of empty houses filled with gold. Something soft grew between them, something neither dared to name. When Cole offered Lydia and her mother work at his ranch, she hesitated. But hunger and kindness won over pride. Weeks turned into months. On the ranch, Lydia learned to ride, to laugh again, to look him in the eyes without fear. The men whispered, "Boss's heart's gone to a poor girl." Cole didn't deny it. He'd fallen, not for beauty, but for the peace she carried. One evening under a dying sun, he finally said the words, "Lydia May, you've made this place feel alive again." Her breath caught, tears in her eyes. "And you, Mr. Tanner, made me believe I mattered." That night, for the first time in years, both dreamed of a future, simple, quiet, together. But the desert doesn't bless love easily. Winter came cruel, and with it, disease. The same fever that had taken Lydia's father began to spread again. Cole sent for doctors from the city, rode through storms, gave away half his fortune for medicine. But Dust Creek was cursed ground. When Lydia fell sick, Cole stayed by her bed, holding her hand through every trembling breath. "You'll ride again," he whispered. "You'll see the spring come back." She smiled weakly. "You can't fight the wind, Cole. You just learn to let it pass." By dawn, she was gone. The sun rose red that morning, like the earth was bleeding for her. Cole buried her beneath the willow by the well they built together. Every spring after, he came back, sat by her grave, and poured a single glass of water into the soil. "For the girl who made the desert bloom," he'd say. And though years passed, folks still told the story of the rich cowboy who built a well, not for fame, not for land, but for a girl who was too poor to dream, and too pure to stay.